Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and this is a topic I've covered quite a few times, but I feel that I need to cover it again because clearly I have hundreds and hundreds and maybe even thousands of new subscribers since I covered this before, and it seems to be a reoccurring topic, and I can tell from the comments and the questions that I get that people don't understand that I do not personally believe in the hypertrophy range. So when you tell me hypertrophy training, I don't know whether you're talking about 3 reps or 20 reps. You need to specify a rep range because I don't differentiate that. Now, I know that people use the 8 to 12, they call it the hypertrophy range, but let's clarify that. And this is based upon tons of real world anecdotal observation and studies at this point. This has been studied. There's more data coming out on it. Rep ranges do not determine the amount of muscle growth you get. The muscle growth is a byproduct of your training. It's not the primary focus of the training as far as the body is concerned, or at least from a performance perspective. You're training for different performance elements with different rep tempos, rep ranges, things like that. You're training for performance, and the muscle growth is one of the adaptations to it. And there doesn't seem to be any difference in the type of muscle growth that you get from different rep ranges and things. The hypertrophy, you can't tell them apart. You do a muscle biopsy on someone who's trained a completely different style, and if they got the same amount of muscle growth, you can't tell how they trained to get the muscle they have. So that needs to go away, that myth. But the thing is, the hypertrophy range is called that because it is the fastest and most efficient way in terms of how many minutes or seconds you want to spend in the gym training in order to get as much muscle growth as you're going to get. That sort of 8 to 12 rep range for people who really only care about gaining muscle as their primary goal and they want to get in and out of the gym fast. That is the rep range that's ideal for you. Now, if you've got an hour or more to spend in the gym and you want to spend an hour or more lifting weights, it's not necessarily useful for you to really train in that rep range, because you can go ahead and train and do strength training or power training, gain just as much size, but you'll actually get the added benefits of better speed, explosiveness, power, a lot better performance elements out of it with the same amount of muscle mass. And the difference is that if you're coming in and doing 10 rep sets, you can get just about as much muscle growth as you're going to get out of a muscle with about 3 sets. 2 sets, 3 sets, maybe 4 sets. You're going to stimulate all of the hypertrophy you're going to get out of that muscle. The only exception might be if you've got one head of the muscle that's not getting hit particularly effectively, such as you're using a closed grip bench press, right? You do 3 sets of 10 with, say, 70% of your max, and maybe the long head doesn't quite get fully stimulated because it does lag a little bit on that. There's overlap there, but maybe the long head only got 90% of the muscle growth it would have got, but the other head's got maximum muscle growth, and in which case that person might need to do something else for their long head. But outside of that scenario, about 3 sets of 10 is going to give you all the muscle growth you're going to experience from a single session. So if you're doing more than that, you're just burning through calories. You're not necessarily gaining muscle. But if you're doing low reps, just say you're doing 5 rep sets, you might get additional hypertrophy from doing up to 5 or 6 sets. And that 5 or 6 sets might give you the same amount of growth that you would have got from that 3 sets of 10. It gave you maximum growth. You drop down to triples, you might need 8 to 10 sets in order to stimulate absolute maximum muscle growth because of the rep ranges. Now, you might get it with less, but you'll probably need more sets. So it's really the total volume that matters there. But the upside is obviously 10 sets of 3 is going to have a much higher mechanical tension. It's going to train for more strength, more power in the lower rep ranges. It's going to give you more explosive power. So that is the added benefit of it, but it's going to take longer because if you're doing those with 3 minutes between sets or even 2 minutes between sets, you're looking at 20 or 30 minutes on one exercise. Whereas in 3 sets of 10 with 2 minutes between, it takes 5 minutes, you're done. So you're in the gym 5 to 6 times as long to get the same amount of size. And so really the difference is the hypertrophy rep range is it doesn't give you more hypertrophy. It just lets you get in and out of the gym faster. Now, you don't get the full performance benefits of the other stuff, but if you're just trying to increase some size, it works. It's the same for lagging body parts. Obviously, like for me right now, I do power work. You guys have seen my program. I put up what I currently do, but I come in and I do high reps for things like arms and side delts for a couple of sets because those are lagging points and I know I need to bring them up, even though it's not necessarily going to help me with my powerlifting. It's just something I need to do to look a little better. So that's also the obvious use for things like the low reps. If you want to spend a long time in the gym and you have some lagging body parts, by all means come in and do some high rep isolation work for them. But the whole idea of the hypertrophy rep range causes more hypertrophy outside of the context of total volume and workload is a complete myth, and people need to really quit calling it that. It's only the hypertrophy rep range because it's the most efficient way to put on size, because you can do it in 5 minutes and be done. You trained a body part or a big compound lift for 5 minutes, you've stimulated your growth, you can move on to something else. Whereas with lower reps, you're going to be hitting it a bit longer. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time. But let me give you guys a bicep shot before I go. Mount Bicepius.